Good afternoon. My name is Beth Bender and I'm the Executive Director of the Racine Symphony, and I wanted to welcome you to our season finale Masterworks live stream event. This is the pre-concert conversation, which normally we would have a local expert talking, giving you all kinds of wonderful tidbits and facts and history of the pieces that we're going to play. Don't worry, I am not that expert this time, because this afternoon we wanted to do something a little bit different. We have a wonderful artist performing on this afternoon's conversation, or excuse me, this afternoon's concert, and that is our 2021 Young Artist Competition winner, cellist Nolan Boerner. Nolan is here with me. So Nolan is a sophomore at the Prairie School here in Racine. I believe he started playing cello with Martha Vito, who is a local teacher in Racine, and now he studies with Scott Cook at the Cello Institute of Milwaukee. So welcome, Noah.
Nolan.
Nolan! Goodness!
It's okay.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. It's okay.
You know, we're so happy to have you on this concert, and we want people to know a little bit more about you. So could you tell us a little bit about how old you were when you first started playing the cello and how that came about?
Yeah, also thank you for having me here. This is great, I think. I started cello in second grade. I think that's around 7 years old, if I did my math right, 7 or 8. And my school at the start of the year said, who wants to do string instruments? We're starting a string program for second graders. And I said, you know what? I need something else to do, so I decided to do it. So I tried out a violin, and I tried out a cello. The violin, I don't think I was holding it right, but it hurt my shoulder a lot. I didn't like the feeling, so I moved to cello, and it was a perfect fit, I think. And I've stuck with it ever since.
Well, I'm a cellist myself, and I had a similar experience where the violin just wasn't for me. So, you know, as a fellow cellist, I understand where you're coming from. So everybody always wants to know, so how much time do you practice a day, and like what other musical activities do you do? Like what part does the cello play in your life?
Good question. I probably practice an hour plus, and sometimes more, usually more if the repertoire demands it. And then, yeah, it fluctuates, but I try and get it to at least an hour.
Good for you.
And cello, as a part of my life, I can't remember a life without it. So I always remember sitting down like it's cello time. It's not a phrase, but like, it's a thought that comes through my head sometimes. Yeah, and it's kind of an extension of me, I feel. And although in orchestra it is just like a background part, whenever it shines, I really love that. But it also feels good to be part of a group, even if it's just as the backup. Because the backup is the essential building blocks for the rest of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I can understand what you're saying. So the concerto that you're going to be playing with us this afternoon, it's by a French composer, Camille Saint-Saëns. He was a Romantic era, 19th century composer, and I will say that as a cellist, I am very biased towards music from that era. I think the cello is perfectly suited for it. So why don't you tell us a little bit, like what are some of your favorite things about the piece? What do you like about it?
Yeah, I am also a big romantic guy. I love the romantic pieces for cello, especially cello. I think the cello really shows the romantic period well. But I do have lots of favorite parts of the piece. I think most of them center around the virtuosic aspects of it, like the fast-moving parts or just this part that show the technical skill. But I also like when you take a step back to let the feelings flow. So the slower parts in the first and second movement, especially the second movement. But I think if I had to choose a movement overall that I enjoyed, it would be the first, because I've known it the longest.
I can understand that. And I would like to point out that many concertos and pieces, each movement is a separate piece. So you'd play the first movement, you would stop, take a little break, play the second movement. The Saint-Saëns concerto is not like that. You play it continuously. So when you're in the audience, if you're waiting for him to stop, that's not going to happen, but you will notice the change of mood. And you're right. That second movement, it is so delicate and sweet, especially after some of, when he says virtuosic, he's talking about the flashier parts And you know, I heard Noah's video audition for us, and he does quite an excellent job with those flashy parts. There is something really cool in the piece, and I bet you can talk about it a little bit too. We call them false harmonics.
That took a while to master. I'm just saying. Yeah, I didn't master that until a couple months ago. That's for that passage. Like, I've known how to do them. It's where the note that you play you're not pressing down. You just go over it, and then you can use your thumb to change the pitch with the notes. It's a weird concept, but it makes sense when you think about it. And I don't know, it's always been hard to get the right tone, but I think I got a change of strings, got a new bow, better bow, and I think with practice, I think I've mastered the false harmonics. And in the piece, third movement, I think it's going to be a high point.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. And so I'm going to explain a little bit what we mean by harmonics. Normally on the cello, we would change the pitch by pressing down the string and making the string shorter. But with the harmonic, you don't have to press it down. There are certain places where you can just touch it, and you're just very lightly touching the string, and there's this beautiful harmonic vibration. But with the false harmonics, instead of touching these magic places on the string, you've got generally your thumb pressing down the string, and then one of your fingers extends and touches just the right place. So it's tricky because there is no room for error. When Noah made a little bit of a face when I first started talking about it, you know, you have to hit it right on, or it makes a really weird noise. But you know what? Noah's going to nail it. He is going to be fantastic. And yeah, really look forward to hearing that. So outside of the cello, because I know you do other things in your life, and I think especially some of our music students at home, they're going to hear you play, and they're going to think, wow, look at all that cool stuff he does, and they're going to think that maybe you eat, sleep, live, and breathe the cello. And we know it's very important to you, but let's talk a little bit about what other things you do in your life.
You know, it would be great if I got a reaction like that from people watching. But yeah, I don't eat, sleep, and breathe cello. It is a big part of my life, but it's not my whole life. I also love to run. I run cross country and track. I've done it since 6th grade. And I know everyone's like, it's not a sport. Or they say it's just repetitive and boring. How can you do that to yourself? And honestly, I don't have an answer, but I enjoy it somehow, and I just keep doing it. So I do that. I also like to spend time with my family, do a little bit of watching TV, a lot of bit of watching TV, but more practice, which is usually true.
Yeah, we don't expect you to be perfect. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious, so during this pandemic this last year, we've all been staying at home more. Has there been a certain hobby or a certain activity that you've either discovered brand new or that you've done a lot more of during this last year?
Yeah, this last year has been very different. I've been spending a lot more time, I think, focusing on myself. Like, my life hasn't been that much changed since the pandemic. My school's still open, like we closed right away. But now, it's New Year, it's opened again, wearing masks, social distance. Things are opening up again, so it's starting to feel like normal life. So it's hard to remember normal life, I know. But I feel like I'm getting back into it. And I have been able to focus more on music, more on just the things I enjoy than going to do other things that involve that. It's just improving myself with those things.
Wow, that's really fabulous to hear, because I know that the pandemic has been difficult for a lot of people, and I know especially a lot of students your age have really struggled. And so I do have to ask, I know you're only a sophomore in high school. Do you have any plans or any thoughts about what you might want to study in college or what you might want to do with your life after school?
Yeah, I've always been fascinated in medicine and just surgery and stuff. My mom's a pharmacist, so I think it started young. My goal is to be a neurosurgeon of some type when I grow up, and that's going to be hard to do. That's a lot of schooling, but I hope I can do it. And I also hope to have music in some capacity in my life in the future as well.
That is wonderful to hear, and I have to say that, you know, over my many years of teaching and, you know, studying myself, I know quite a few doctors and actually lawyers too who either have always played an instrument and always done it kind of as a hobby, or some who actually went to school for music and then turned around and went to med school. So it may not seem like a logical relationship, but I think it is very common. And so the discipline that you gain from playing the cello will really help you in other areas of life. So is there anything else you would like to say to the audience or to any students watching at home?
I hope you enjoy the piece. I've worked hard on it, and I'm sure the orchestra has worked just as hard. And I hope the collaboration between us is going to be amazing, and as well as exciting to listen to. So I just hope you enjoy the work we've put in, and it should be a great show.
Great. Thank you so much for talking to me. And audience, come back at 3 for our concert.